So every week we go through
I'm
some
ready to
stats.
go with the quiz when you got through the stats. Yeah.
Sure. Right. So every week we go through some stats. End of stats, there's a few fun questions to ask, and then after this we'll go through the group breakdown, and the matches after that. So, sorry for those of you who are watching and we're just drivelling along. So, KOTE is the major set. So, these are all the decks that had been submitted for round 1 of KOTE 8. And this was brought together by LitOps from Baguette and Switch, I think this morning. KOTE is the major set. Always is the major set. And AOA has huge presence this time, which is not too surprising given that we're talking about a low SAS event. So, this is a SAS cap of 60. Whilst Sliding at Mass Mutation are lower, but they have a good share. But again, I would expect them to be lower because normally the decks that people know and want to play are higher up in the SAS totals. Funny, we don't have the dominance of the new sets like in KOTE 7. Well, I think that will come in the weeks to come. Any thoughts on this one, Brett? Before we move on,
I also think it's because a lot of players, when you talk about low SAS, say that's where Age of Ascension shines. That's why we've seen such a high amount of Age of Ascension. The amount of people that were bringing Mass Mutation and Worlds Collide last event have sort of shifted into Age of Ascension because Age of Ascension has such good denial cards that are very conditional, so don't really do much at the high end of SAS. But at the low end of SAS, Proclamation, Grunt Buggy get a lot better, and there's a lot less answers to them because you're unlikely to come across a deck in the lower SASs that has got artifact control and board control.
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they all play and what the results look like. The house breakdown here is not unsurprising, I don't think. Shadows is very high, Untamed is very high, and I think this is primarily because we see AOA and KOTE so high.
Yeah, it's quite interesting though. Before yesterday, when LitOps did the initial findings, Untamed was actually higher than Shadows.
Really?
It's the last 20 teams. Yeah, it's the last 20 teams here that have pushed Shadows into first place.
That is interesting, and it's also nice to see Brognar actually having a good proportion of the pie after the KOTE 7, where they
I'll tell you, it's good.
Not even on the
it's
charts.
Grunt Bugging and Ganganaut.
I can believe it. I can definitely believe it.
It's definitely interesting. The Star Alliance is the least popular house in Saurian.
Well,
when they're good, they're good, but when they're bad, they're bad.
Yeah, and then that's how I look at it. They're amazing cards when they work, or they're terrible if they don't. And that's why I think you don't see many low SAS, and Saurians are generally a high SAS house anyway. So when the deck compositions stay fairly similar, so on the left we have the KOTE 8, and on the right we have the actual average from all of decks of Keyforge. Don't know what happened to the Raw Amber. I think it must be the same. But the actions, near enough the same. Creatures, near enough the same. In fact, all the decks we have are pretty much bang on the averages that we'd expect from all the decks across the board.
But to be fair, we're starting around the average, so it kind of makes sense. It'd be interesting to see how this goes as we climb.
And then also as we go back down.
Yeah. The going down is going to be the most interesting one for me, to see if people bring the same deck or if they've got a different deck lined up for the top cut.
So one thing I want to point out here was the average SAS of all the decks in the first round is 59, and some people will go, well, how are some people bringing SAS 63s? If you had registered your team before the SAS change, we would allow you to use the SAS of that at point of registration. So this means that a couple of people were very lucky and decks went up, and some people were like myself and the deck went down from 60 to 59.
I actually got a message from the Key Frogs that was saying, I had this deck that was 60 before the SAS update. Can I still use it?
No.
Unfortunately not. That's why we tagged everyone on Sunday saying that SAS is changing soon. If you register to keep yourself safe.
And here so go ahead.
Does that mean Justice Blinded has brought the lowest SAS deck for round 1 at 53?
There's a couple of 53s, I think, but yeah. I think there was. Surprisingly, the favourite aspects of KOTE 7, efficiency disruption, are lowest here, but then that's not too surprising because I would say the efficiency is one of the, and disruption are the two things that impact the SAS score the most, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens. Moving on. Here, is it everyone ready for the quiz? It's 6 questions, is it, Brett?
No, 9 questions.
Oh, it's an extra long quiz this week.
Yes, we have 9 questions, and it's about the. Who's your favourite? What card was brought the most throughout each house?
Okay. So I put the first question up, but
not yet. But you can have the first question up, ready to go. It's just giving people instructions. For those who are new to the quiz, basically you can enable your name to be shown if you want, but all you have to do is click on the screen on the answer you want, and you are taking part. Simple as. So, what is the most frequently
what's the
most frequent Brobnar card throughout KOTE round 1?
Which Brobnar card appears most often?
Calfine, yeah. Cowden, Calfine, Ganga Chieftain, Tremor.
It's not Grunt Buggy.
No.
Which is interesting.
Grunt Buggies are rare, so it's more going to be one of the commons.
That's yeah. I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying it's not Grunt Buggy.
This is one of the answers that changed overnight.
Really?
Yes, there was 2 answers that changed overnight. I've had to update the quiz twice. So originally it was Ganga Chieftain, but now it's Tremor. And 2 people said Coward's End, and 3 people said Ganga Chieftain. But Tremor features the most throughout round 1 KOTE Brobnar.
So
the other one was Dis, but we'll get to that one a little on.
Moving on.
Yeah, do you want to go with this one?
Sure. So, which is the most frequent Dis card? Lash, Gateway to Dis, Infurnish, or Charette?
Definitely interesting to see what people are bringing. Originally, it was Dust Imp, and I had to fight the urge to put Dust Pimp, but luckily it got taken out with the new answer.
That's good.
And what do you believe the answer to be here, Chris?
Lash.
Nope, Charette. 4 people got that correct. But 1 person gone for Lash, 2 people gone for Infernus, but 4 people went Charette, and Charette was the correct answer. It overtook all 4 of these overnight.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a bit insane. The most frequent logos card: Titan Mechanic, Standardized Testing, Wild Wormhole, and Effervescent Principle. As we know, the most frequent card within KOTE 7 out of all decks that were brought was Wild Wormhole. It'll be interesting to see if that trend carried on over into KOTE 8.
Very interesting.
Oh, there's something else at the lower SAS. After it, is it too high of a SAS to? Because multiple wild wormholes, I imagine, give you extra efficiency, so bump up the SAS.
That's what I'm thinking.
But it is wild wormhole. 2 people went time mechanic, 2 people went Effervescent Principle, and 3 people went for wild wormhole, getting it correct.
I'm not sure. That really surprises me in many ways, but what can we say? If that's what it is, that's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. What can we do here? Ready to go, Chris?
What is the most frequent Mars card? Mind Warper, Zilly Dominator, Mars First, or Key Abduction? What is the most frequent Mars card? Mind Warper, Zilly Dominator, Mars First, or Key Abduction?
Blitzops is working on the numbers for things like Heart of the Forest, Jenka, Brig for next week, but didn't have the time to go through the sheer amount of data we had for this week.
Given that one team registered 15 seconds before we closed the entries.
5 seconds.
Oh, sorry, my mistake. 5 seconds.
It's a ballsy play, I'll give them that. It is Dominator. Dominator with 3 people got that correct. Nice widespread answers here. 1 person went for Mars First, 2 people went for Mind Warper, 2 people went for Key Abduction. But Dominator, the almighty taunter, came in at the highest used Mars card.
Wow. So on Sanctum.
What is the most frequently used Sanctum card? Protect the Weak, Grey Rider, Champion NFL, Cleansing Wave. I've seen so many multiple Grey Rider decks on the Crucible recently. It's a really good early game, but if you can establish a board, it's quite hard to pop off that kind of combo.
Mr. Kong's showing off his flex there.
He's first, so why wouldn't he flex?
I worried it's first of over 17,000 though. For those of you who are playing along, if you've got a negative score, don't worry. Normally we only have one person with a positive score.
Let's reveal the answer. It is Cleansing Wave. 2 people went Grey Rider, 3 people went Champion, NFL. 1 person went Protect the Weak, but it's Cleansing Wave.
Did it? How many went for Cleansing Wave? 1?
1 person went Cleansing Wave.
I would never have guessed that one. What is the most frequent Saurian card? Beware the Ides, Tribute. Oh, sorry. Am I going ahead too quickly?
Go ahead now.
What is the most frequent Saurian card? Beware the Ides, Tribute, Prefectus Ludo, or Axiom of Grisk?
This one should surprise nobody. If I was bringing Saurian, I'd want to make sure this card was in there, especially at the low SAS, low SAS range.
I can think of 3 of the cards I can answer that to.
Beware the Ides, it's such a situational card, but it's so good just to smash anything in the face.
Also, I love the theme of it as well.
So let's reveal the answer. 5 people went with Prefectus Ludo, and it is correct. 3 people went actually with Grisk, which is quite good as well. Tribute was good. Beware the Ides. If you bring in a load of Beware the Ides, you must have a very good deck for establishing middle. It's very good against leaders, Beware the Ides.
Yes, that is definitely true.
If I was bringing a Saurian deck, I'd want to make sure Ludo was in there. What is the most frequent Shadows card? Miasma, Runny Wrist Clocks, Seeker Needle, or Bad Penny?
No, I think this one is obvious.
Yeah, it's clearly Seeker Needle. There's so many multiple Seeker Needles, not that many multiple Seeker
There really are, actually.
But yeah, I imagine everyone's going to get this one correct because I'm pretty sure everyone's got a deck that has multiple of this. I picked Seeker Needle. Oh no. What have I done to you, Jupiter? The answer: 2 people went for Bad Penny, 3 people went for Running Wrist Clocks, 2 people went for Seeker Needle, and 1 person went for Miasma. It is Bad Penny.
Mm-hmm. What is
Bad Penny, you love to hate her.
Yep. What is the most frequent Star Alliance card? Explorer Rover, First Officer Frame, Cloak and Dongle, Com Officer Kirby, and Mr. Kong's gone down to number 2.
Ooh. Given the answers here, I was quite surprised with which one it was. But any of these would be quite good to have in multitude within a deck, and you can kind of justify bringing them.
Jupiter in 8th position on minus 90,000. Someone who has actually answered.
Yeah, I got 0 points.
So you're doing quite well then.
Let's reveal the answer. Explorer Rover was the correct answer with 3. Cloak and Dongle, 1 person answered. Comms Officer Kirby with 3, which I can understand. Comms Officer Kirby is a very powerful card as well, along with Subject Kirby. But Explorer Rover was the correct answer. Is this the last question, I believe?
I hope so.
Yes. What is the most frequent Untamed card? Dust Pixie, Niffle Ape, Regrowth, Key Charge. I've got 0 correct. You'll get used to that with fighting Walloon. You'll get used to it, but you'll also come to you'll also come to get used to what's going on with these as well. Christopher's just private messaged me to say he's got 5 consecutive right answers.
That bribe he paid off well.
I mean, Jupiter, you are correct. If you were playing golf, you would have the best score. The correct answer here is Niffle Ape. 4 people got that correct. 1 person went Dust Pixie, 1 person went Regrowth, and 2 people went Key Charge. But the correct answer was Niffle Ape, and Litops messaged me to say there is a shocking amount of Niffle Apes.
Really?
Apparently round 1 is overrun with Niffle Apes.
That is actually really interesting.
Let's show the final results. Oh wait, Mr. Kong has already revealed the answer to who won. Oh no! Contestant 4 took the win. I don't know. Question answers. quite good. But, I imagine we'll never know. So we'll have to give the win to Mr. Kong because he's the only named contestant. I imagine it was Christopher Jupiter, but he didn't enable his name, so we. Yeah, he private messaged me saying it was him, and I'm like, I don't know. It's hard to prove.